Good morning and welcome to this weekly market update from AGM Markets, Thursday 8th of August 2014. What I'm going to do today is go through some technical analysis on Euro, Dollar, Cable, Dollar, Swiss, Aussie and Gold. Just going to review what's been going on this week and give some sort of outlook for next week. There'll be no trade calls or recommendations in this video. You do trade your own risk. If you could please read our full disclaimer, which is on our website at www.agmmarkets.com, then that'll be most appreciated. And for any new followers out there, we have three moving averages on each of these charts. So the red one is a 50 simple, the purple is 100 simple, and the gold is a 200 simple moving average. Okay, let's have a look at the charts. So this is the euro dollar, so this is the weekly chart. What has been going on this week? Well, in terms of this week's current candle, you can see we've had a piercing of the 100-week moving average, and it is currently holding above. I mean, if you zoom into last week's candle, someone said that it's quite a sort of bullish candle, nice sort of lower wick, and a close above the 200-week moving average. But this week it has sort of struggled to get the pop up. And the reason, well, and the big level that we've been speaking about has been this one, of course. So this is the fib from the low of 2013 to the high of 2014. Nice uptrend, retracement towards the downside. 50%, you can see we've had a couple of piercings of this, and we are currently sitting above. So I think as long as we get a close above this 50% this week, then I still think it is quite bullish, and I think that the odds would be for some sort of a rotation towards the upside. I mean, it could be a brief pop-up, I don't know, towards this 50-week moving average, for example, over the next few weeks. But, I mean, ideally you want to see a green candle here, or a close above the 200-week moving average as well, for example. But I don't know, I think it's already got a decent amount of lower wick on this, and I think as long as you sort of close above, I think the odds would be for some sort of bounce and a continuation of this sort of uptrend from 2012, really. Okay, that's pretty much it in terms of the weekly. So let's flip it to the daily. The daily is getting quite interesting. I mean, it was holding this 50% for a while. When I say holding, I mean closing above. But yesterday's candle was quite interesting because we did get a close below, but we've still had some lower wicks here. It is sort of forming higher lows as well, you can see there. So I think as long as you get some sort of close above this 50% here in terms of a daily close, and then that would be a bullish close. I mean, already this candle's looking quite decent, nice sort of big green body here. So yeah, I'd say if we get some, I think at the end of the week it would be a very, very key weekly close, this one, I think, in terms of overall sort of cycle in the pair. Because I mean, if we get some closes above, then we could rotate all the way down, and then you're sort of looking at this sort of move here, which is a long way away. It's what, sort of 300-400 pips difference. So yeah, very, very interesting end to the week in terms of this. That's the weekly and daily pretty much done. One other thing actually on this daily chart, if we do get any sort of bounce up, then personally keep an eye on this fib move here. We did speak about this last week, but we haven't really had that bounce up this week. You can see this week is pretty much just sort of gone back down and just chopped around. So in terms of if we do start to get a bounce towards next week, then yeah, this 50% comes at 1.35 at 16s, and interestingly enough, this 50% coincides with these previous support lows here. So previous support could turn into a previous resistance if we do pop up there. And in terms of the 4 hour, nothing major to sort of note of, really. I mean, it has just sort of been grinding low in the last sort of couple of days. It's just been chopping around, really, so nothing major to note of there, to be honest with you. So let's move on to cable. Cable on this weekly chart, it's continuing to be in sort of retracement mode, I think. I mean, we've been speaking about for a long while now that this strong uptrend move it's been sort of due for some sort of healthy retracement, and this is the fib to keep an eye out for in terms of this weekly. Of course, we're still a long way away from it, but it's definitely good to keep it in mind. The 50% comes at 1.60 here, so we're still, I mean, we're miles away, about 800 pips away, but in terms of sort of overall context, I think that's the move to keep an eye out for and to keep in mind. I mean, what we have been speaking about is these small dips here, remember. So you've got that one there, then pretty much just extending the highs, extending the lows. It's just been playing sort of 50% in the 61.8. So you can see this current move So that'll be the low to be looking out for. You can see it clear on the daily, but you can see it's just struggling here, and it's just sliding lower. So those smaller dips have pretty much ended now, I think, unless we get some sort of bounce off of like the 78.6 level or something like that. But I mean, in terms of other sort of fib moves, I suppose the one that you could look at, I mean, a lot of people be looking at that dip there maybe, but I don't think it's that good to look out for. And we've had a weekly close below that as well. So the only other fib move I'd look at in terms of bullish fib moves on this cable sort of weekly and daily chart is this move here, and this is from the low of 2014 to the high of 2014. Interestingly enough, the 50% coincides with previous support here, so that's another reason to keep an eye out for that, I think. So they're the moves towards the upside, and I think I mean, if you're in the sort of camp where you think it could easily retrace all the way down here over the next sort of few months, then it's pretty much all about just selling any sort of bounce. And I think you can see this clear on the sort of daily and 4 hour. I mean, in terms of the daily, obviously the first sort of move, if we get any sort of a bounce off of any level, will be that move there. So that's just taking the high. I mean, obviously the low could keep on extending lower and lower here, but that's the first main move to keep an eye out for on the daily chart. And also we have previous resistance at 50% as well, and that comes in at pretty much the 170 handle there. You can see pretty much lines up straight with that. So it would be quite good if you did actually get some sort of bounce off of now, because that would be a nice sort of a confluence level there at that 50%. But in terms of the shorter term time frames, I mean, there's no sort of clear fib moves. It's really just been sort of selling off before getting any sort of interesting bounce. I mean, there's nothing really that sticks out there in the 4 hour. I mean, in terms of the 1 hour, there's obviously more interesting things you do get. I mean, there's sort of one move there that played out, for example, so that's a sort of swing high, swing low there, came up to 61.8 and rotate towards the downside. And then I suppose the next one you could look out for there is maybe that a bit. I mean, it's tricky to pick the high. I mean, maybe that one there, because that's the sort of high from that previous move. So that's a way to that's one example of how you can just sort of sell any sort of bounce. And of course you can just use a trend line as well. I mean, that's pretty much playing out quite well in terms of using the sort of candlestick wicks there, multiple bounces, tests, pierces above, closes below. It's just sort of, it's just selling. Sellers coming in at that trend line, so that's quite a decent one to keep an eye out for as well. But in terms of these sort of these smaller sort of dips that have been playing out for some time, they do look like they're I mean, because that's the most recent swing low there. That dip looks like it's pretty much done. I would not be surprised to see it grind lower towards this 100% line, which comes at 1 spot 66.97s there. So pretty much the 170 marker there. Okay, then that's it for cable. Let's have a look at dollar Swiss and what's going on this weekly chart. Similar to euro, it is sort of stalling at the minute. But I still think on this dollar Swiss we could easily get grind high towards the sort of 200 week moving average and 100 week moving average. In terms of the other fib to keep an eye out for, in terms of selling sort of fib, basically the same thing. Similar sort of move as on euro. So on the euro we're looking at low from 2013 to high of 2014, and on dollar Swiss we're looking at the move from high of 2013 to low of 2014. So I mean, it has been a mirror image chart for some time, but it's sort of going out of sync now, because you can see on the euro we're already at the 50% retracement, but dollar Swiss was still some way away from that bigger move. The moves I definitely think are interesting though, I'm just going to flip it to the daily so you can see it clearer. Remember we had this move here which played out really nicely. So the thing is now that we're starting to sort of stall here on this daily chart at current levels, is this next fib move I think should be an interesting one if we get down here. So that's just taking the low from where we bounced off of that previous fib move. So it's basically the recent swing low to this sort of obvious swing high, and this 50% comes in at 0.8985, so it also sort of coincides with sort of previous highs here as well. So and yeah, previous resistance currently where I'm hovering over my cursor there as well. So that should be an interesting move, and I definitely think that's one to keep an eye out for. Also, you can see on the weekly chart, it coincides with the 50-week moving average as well at that 50%. So nice sort of confluence there. I mean, you can see last week's weekly candle was a decent upper wick on that, and you can see currently already we've got a decent upper wick, but it is also a green body, and there's no sort of major resistance that I can think of. Well, I suppose actually this level here, you can see those sort of swing low. That's what sort of causing it to stall at the minute. So previous support now acting as new resistance and sort of capping this dollar Swiss. So I think a sort of retracement over the next week. Well, it depends how the daily candle closes today. If it sort of closes anything like that, with a little bit lower, with less lower wick, and I think it should sort of retrace down towards this sort of level here, and then the 50-day moving average may come in as some confidence as well, and then we could get some nice price action off of that. So that's pretty much it. I mean, in terms of the 4-hour, same sort of move there. It's the same thing I'll be looking at in terms of the 4-hour chart. Okay, let's look at the Aussie. Aussie dollar is continuing to retrace towards the downside after sort of stalling at these 0.9450s, remember. So the move I'm personally keeping an eye out for, and I thought a lot of other people will be looking at as well, is this fib move here. So that's from the low of 2014 to the high of 2014. It's just continuing to grind lower. Of course, the first port of call here is the 50-week moving average. Do keep an eye on that if we do get there, see what sort of price action could happen. We could easily get a reversal, but I personally think we'll come down here towards this 50%, and that comes at 0.9080 level. I mean, in terms of the daily chart, I mean, if you're in the sort of camp where you think it's going to continue to grind lower, then it's all about playing any sort of dip towards the downside, and you can see it's nice and clearly on the 4-hour chart. I think we spoke about this in last week's video actually. This fib setup here, this has been a prime example of sort of selling any sort of bounce, healthy sort of retracement, taking swing highs, swing lows, classic fib move here, nice sell off, retracement up towards the 50% to the pip, nice upper wick, and it's just sold off and taken that and taken the lows out. So the next sort of bounce would be taking that high there, and yet that you can see it nice and clear on the 1-hour chart as well here. So in terms of selling any sort of bounce, any sort of rally, then that'll be the next fib move that I'll personally be looking out for. I thought it'd be very popular amongst foreign exchange traders. So this 50% comes in at 0.9306 is there. So nice sort of confluence of the round number there being the 0.93 handle. And that's pretty much the focus on the Aussie. So we've done the weekly, daily, 4-hour, 1-hour chart on that, and that's pretty much the view. I mean, in terms of any sort of key support, I mean, the other key support is that one there we did speak about last week. So that key support comes at 0.9217 there. So maybe if this little fib move rotates towards that 50%, comes down, breaks that low, then the next sort of bounce I would have thought would be off of that level there. Would make logical sense, it being it's such a big support zone that it's been holding pretty much all year there. You can see nice candle action there. Okay, that's the FX done. Let's have a look at gold. Gold on the weekly chart, you can see we're getting some sort of support of the 50-week moving average here, but what is still interesting is this daily chart, and then this fib move here, which we've been speaking about for the last sort of few weeks really. First we had that initial support of the 50%, came back down towards the 61.8% retracement. I think this may have been after NFP when we had that the spike down. I think it was a weaker number and it came down. Yeah, it was. That was right. It was a weak. It was a weaker NFP number, but dollar got quite strong and it came down to 61.8, and the bias just came in and pushed this high and put a nice sort of reversal candle in there. I mean, it didn't quite close above the 50-day moving average, the 50% retracement, but it's come back down low. You can see we had some nice support of the 200-day moving average, and it's just continued to rotate higher. Yesterday we got a daily candle close above the 50-day moving average, and it looks like it's just in rotation high mode, and we'll get some sort of test at these 1345s, I would have thought, over the next sort of week, 2 weeks maybe. But what is going to try and hold that is the counter move This counter move is this sort of fib move here. So that's the high of July to the sort of lower July move, well, low of August actually. I think that's the 1st of August. Yes, this, and you can currently see the 61.8 is currently getting tested. So do keep an eye on the daily candle close there. If you get any sort of reversal, then we could easily come back down towards these sort of 1280s. But it is looking quite bullish at the minute. I would not be surprised to see a daily candle close above this, but of course it doesn't have to. But yeah, the daily candle close will definitely be in focus today amongst the sort of commodities and foreign exchange trading community. I'd have thought that's a big level. So that comes in at 1320s. So that's obviously the main sort of focus. I mean, in terms of the shorter term time frames, what's been going on? I mean, in terms of 4 hour, this 4 hour has been really technical. You can see, and just in terms of playing fibs, I think I may have tweeted this chart, I can't remember now. So that was the first move there off the 61.8, and then if you extended the lower, extended the low, extended the high down, another move off the 61.8% retrace there. So in terms of selling the dips, gold was lovely there, 2 classic fib moves, similar to Aussie as well, pretty much the same sort of same thing spoken about there. But so then the next one here, I think, yeah, it pretty much would have been that one there. You can see that didn't hold. It just got blown out. It just got, well, to be fair, we didn't get any sort of counter reversal there, so it did get blown out. And that's why I personally think it is quite bullish. And the odds are towards a sort of grind higher towards these highs. But of course, this is the fib move here that may stop that. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of short term time frames. A 1 hour, nothing major to sort of note of there. I mean, yeah, you did get this sort of move here. I think that's a small little fib move. Actually, no, it wasn't a small fib move. Completely ignore that. So yeah, that's the focus on gold. There's the 2 big fib moves really, and this current one is still in play, and that can be seen on the daily and sort of 4 hour chart there as well. Okay, then that's all for today. I hope you found that video useful. If there's any other pairs that you want me to check out, if there's any other pairs that you want me to take a look at next week, then feel free to comment under the YouTube channel or send us a tweet to the Twitter feed, which is at AGM Markets. Hope you have a great rest of the week trading. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll catch you next week. Thanks for watching.